now 7 clips. All 7 of those clips should be 7 seconds long, or as close to 7 seconds as you can to get good footage. Let me go ahead and throw my other ones in so I'm caught up with you so it makes more sense. So extreme wide, very wide, what's next? Wide shot? Computer's so slow today. I'm getting a new computer, guys. It'll make something. If you have something that's intense to work on, you can use one of the newer computers. Come on. Let me close down a few programs, see if this speeds things up. You guys know this trick? If you right click on a program that's running, you can just quit it real quick. Okay. Quit. Just quit already. Okay. See if that'll make it run smoother. So let me grab my 7 seconds of each clip real fast, and then I'll show you how to add the transitions. Oops. So there's my wide shot. Grab my mid shot. Set my ins and outs. Make it 7 seconds long. And then throw it in there. Medium close-up would be next. Set your in and out. What's after medium close-up? Close-up. And last, my extreme close-up. Okay. Sorry for that. Now I'm caught up with you guys. So I've got 7 clips down in my timeline. I'm ready to add transitions. In between the clips, you can add whatever transitions you want. But at the start and end of the entire video, I want you to have a fade in and a fade out. So those transitions are under effects and video transitions. Click the drop down arrow on video transitions, it will show you. Now the different types of transitions are by categories: dissolves, 3D motion, iris, and so on. Honestly, the transition you'll use the most in editing is called a cross dissolve, but you're welcome to use others just to play around with them and see what they do. But I do require that at the start you have a cross dissolve because that's how you'll do your fade in. Okay, a fade in is where it starts on black and fades into the picture. Okay, so a cross dissolve at the start, we'll fade it in. All you do is navigate to effects. Let me show you again. So you go to effects, you find video transitions, click on the drop down, and then we're looking for a dissolve, a cross dissolve. You click and drag that into the timeline right at the start of the clip. If you're in the right spot, it will transform your arrow into that little, I don't even know what that is, that little icon you see there. If it's not in the right spot, it won't work, okay? You notice if I drag it in between two clips, it works as well, and it allows me to add a cross dissolve right there, which a cross dissolve will fade from one clip to the other clip. It's kind of choppy because it's not rendered, okay? I don't want to actually add that right now, so I'll undo it. Command Z is your undo. All right, so I have the one at the front. Now I need to make sure that the duration of this is 1 second. That's one of the requirements for full points. So if you double click on your transition that you just added, the transition is the little gray box, it will pop up and it will tell you the duration. Okay, again, just to understand time code, the first set of zeros, those are hours. You would never have a transition that's hours long, but that's what those zeros are. The next set of zeros are minutes. I've never had a transition last even a minute myself, but I guess you could potentially. Usually they'll be in the seconds or the frames, okay? So this one is set to 1 second and 0 frames, so exactly 1 second. If I wanted it half a second, I'd put the seconds to 0 and I'd put the frames to 15 because there's 15 frames, or there's 30 frames in a second. That would make, and then if I click OK, that would make it 1 second long, or half a second long. But I want it 1 second long, so that's how I set it, and I click OK. Whoops. I just messed mine up. I made it 1 frame long, okay? So it needs to be 1 semicolon 0 0 to be 1 second long. Or the shortcut to do 1 second is you just erase it all and you type 1 period, enter. That makes them exactly 1 second long. If I wanted it 2 seconds long, I would just change that to a 2. Okay? For these purposes, 1 second is fine. Is how I want it for full points. Okay? So now we got our fade in. Now we're going to add some transitions in between. You're welcome to do just cross dissolves, but I'd recommend you do some other ones just to get a feel for what all the other transitions do. So maybe if I choose iris drop down, I can choose an iris cross. Show you guys what that does. I drag that in between the first 2 clips. And then if I back it up a little bit and push play, I can see what that transition does.
Very wide shot.
I missed it. Play again.
Very wide shot.
Okay, I'm not seeing my transition. If you're having trouble seeing what you're previewing your transition, if you'll select it like this, see this red line, that means it's unrendered. So if you select this and you go to, I forget where it's at in Premiere, but I'll tell you in a second once my thing stops thinking. I believe it's going to be under Sequence. And you click on Render Effects, or Render Into Out, or Render Selection, doesn't really matter, depends what you've done. Okay, the point is to render it. It will go through and it will create that effect that we just made so we can actually preview it. Usually you can preview it without it rendering, but mine's being slow so I can't see it. Any effects, and you're going to do that on all 7. So yeah, you can go ahead if you get the idea. The only ones I'm requiring is that the start fades in and the end fades out, which you use a cross dissolve or a dip to black, either way. If I go frame at a time, I can see the transition. It might be because I'm recording that it's being so choppy. But that's what an iris cross looks like. It does like this little cross effect into the next one. Anyways, play around with them. In all honesty, the transitions that you'll use 90% of the time are cross dissolves. But for this one, go ahead and have some variety so that you can see what different ones what different of transitions do. I like the cube spin for certain things. I'll use the cube spin on wedding videos sometimes, or photo montages. Cube spins under 3D motion. And then when you get to the end, make sure you're using a cross dissolve or a dip to black. They'll both do the same thing in this instance, so that it fades to black at the end of your show. That's how you say show's over. Okay, and that's how you add your transitions. So to get full points, you've got to have a fade in at the start, a fade out at the end, which we use a cross dissolve or a dip to black to do that. Then any transition in between each clip, and each transition needs to be 1 second long, which I believe they will be 1 second long by default if you don't change them. But double check and make sure they're 1 second long.